Knives Sports Adventures here. I am talking about more flashlights today. Not something I typically do, but I had kind of gone to exploring some flashlights here lately, so this is more information that I thought would be helpful and hopefully entertaining. So I got 4 flashlights here, one of which I have reviewed before for comparison, and 3 new ones so I can kind of show you what I've found, hopefully give some helpful information. These are all more tactical thrower type lights. So several different takes on what is available here. I'll just jump into it. I'm going to talk about UIs, I'm going to talk about features and charging, and then I'll go out and do some beam shots like I did before at various differences. So this is the one that I've reviewed before. This is the Acebeam L17. This is a cool white 18650, kind of a dedicated thrower, very small spot. So next we have the Olight Warrior X Pro. This is a more of a neutral white LED, and it's a 21700 battery. This one has magnetic charging tail cap. This one is the Nitecore MH25S. This is not magnetic charging. This is a cool white LED. 2 buttons instead of one like the other two. And this is a Armytek Predator Pro. I've reviewed this one before, but I have some updates about it that I wanted to share. So single button. This is a 18650 as well, and this is a neutral, kind of almost warm white LED. So this is more warm, you'll see, than the Warrior X Pro. So I want to jump in with Acebeam. Again, you've seen this one before. This is a very much a thrower light. It has a low mode. You can kind of go low and then hold through the modes, medium, high, and then double click to turbo. It has a low mode. It's not real low. This is still a really throwy light at low mode. This will still illuminate stuff, 40 or 50 yards away, even on the low mode. It won't preserve your night vision, that sort of thing. This is more of it's a dedicated thrower. It's really made to just kind of see things far away. You can turn it down a little bit, kind of be more discreet with it, so you're not blinding everybody all the time or revealing your position kind of too excessively, but it's really just kind of a thrower. And it does very well at that. I like this light. I've had this one around for a while. So decent interface. I wish it had a single click to turbo. You have to double click to turbo, and you can't get to turbo by cycling through the modes. So turbo is kind of a little harder to get to than I would like, especially on a dedicated thrower, but not a bad light at all. I wanted to give specifically an update on the Armytek Predator Pro, because I've gone from a little bit of kind of not liking this light to full-blown hatred of this light. I love neutral white LEDs. I love the beam pattern on this light. It's got a nice throw and decent spill, so it's great for like a situational awareness or a tactical light. But this is not really useful outside of turbo mode. Turbo is great if you're going to mount it on a weapon and only ever use turbo. That would be fine, but the interface is just so clunky and awful. To get to anything other than turbo, you have to loosen the head of the flashlight a little bit, and then you have to cycle through the modes, right? There's moonlight, low, medium, high, strobe, and then you're back to like the little super moonlight. There's where I started at that one. The problem is you have to cycle through the modes to get where you want to go. The whole purpose of having a moonlight mode is so that you can go right to it and not screw up your night vision. this, you can't really do that with this. You can supposedly set a memory, right? So I can set it to, like, I wanted to set it here. I can cycle through momentary clicks and then push this to a full click, and then supposedly if I click it again, it'll come back onto the same mode. You can see that's not doing that. It's getting brighter each time, and now I've gone to strobe, right? So the way you have to press this button is so, like, I did it that time. I go to the super moonlight. Let's go to the little one so you can see it. Okay, all right, there I go. I'm on it. I clicked it to memory, right? I have to really jab this button very fast, you know, to get it to come to that mode. If I just kind of give it a normal push like I would any other flashlight, sometimes it'll come to that mode and sometimes it'll just do the next one up. So it's just maddening. It's not very usable. You have to get two hands on the flashlight to change the modes to anything but turbo, or to get back to turbo, because you can't use turbo in the other modes. This is just, it's just not a very usable light, right? The interface is just too clunky and too unusable, and it's stuck in anything but turbo if you put it out of turbo mode. So it's not really, I mean, again, if you're using it just as a weapon light and you only need turbo, fine. If any other use of this light is just not usable. So not a great user interface on that one. Similar issues with the Nitecore MH25S. Single click to turbo, that's good. Very bright light, nice throw, but to get to any mode other than turbo, you have to click this button, and then while the light is on, you can cycle through your other modes. This one does have a good moonlight mode, which I like, but then if I want to use that, I have to turn the flashlight off here, and then it will only come back on in the moonlight mode, right? So and I can't change the mode. This button is inactive when the light is off. So I can't change it to anything else. I have to use the last mode that I used. That's the only choice I have with this light, which is not great in an EDC light, and I don't feel like it's that great in a tactical light either. You know, if the situation is changing a lot and you need to change brightness, and again, it's kind of a clunky, not very intuitive process. So not a great user interface on this one. Now we get to the Warrior X Pro. This light makes no pretense about being an EDC light. It makes no pretense about being anything but a hardcore tactical light. This light is like having a police dog, right? You don't bring it home to cuddle with your kids. You don't try to pet it on the head. You don't give it treats and snuggle with it and have it lick you. Like, this dog is working, right? This light's mantra is, show me what I need to shoot, right? This light has two modes. It has 300 lumens and it has 2000 lumens. You can switch between them, but that's all you get. There's no getting stuck in moonlight mode. There's no getting stuck anywhere. You don't have to fiddle with anything. The only things that you have to do with this light, half press is 300 lumens, full press is 2000 lumens. That's it, right? And that kind of simplicity is really kind of what I like in a tactical light. If you want to mount, if you're going to put this on a weapon and you're searching inside a building or something, 300 lumens, right? That's it. That's what you need. That's what you get. You go outside, full click, and there you are, full throw. Both have a momentary mode. A press and hold is momentary, and it lets off. Same thing with full press. Press and hold is momentary, and then it lets off. And then a quick press of either, and the light stays on in that position. I'd rather have a simplified UI that doesn't give me all the stuff like this, rather than something like this that makes them so inaccessible that I can't use them, right? At least I know what I'm going to get to. I know how it's going to work. It's going to be reliable. It's going to throw a lot of light exactly where I want it. To me, this is like, while it's not a great EDC carry light, and I don't know if I have a place for it in my life, this is probably the best weapon light out there. Now, it's not like a good duty light or something. Like if you were a police officer and you were trying to read a driver's license or something, or if you're trying to do close-up work, this is too bright for that, right? It's just going to blind you with the blowback and the reflection off of what you're doing. So it's not a single purpose light. It's not a versatile light, but it's very good at being a weapon light. So probably my favorite of the lights here. This one's probably a little more versatile, the Acebeam. You know, the rest of them are not real great. I don't really see, you know, a great deal of usefulness in the Nitecore or the Armytek. Yeah, unless you were leaving them on turbo all the time. Any of these would be great left on turbo all the time. Some are going to be better than others, like the Warrior X, the Predator, and the MH25S are better situational awareness lights. You'll see with the beams out there, because you can see more around the hot spot. Acebeam is more of a dedicated thrower, and you're not going to see much around it. One thing I will say about the button on the Olight is it's not for everybody. It's kind of almost recessed. It sits down at the level of those three little prongs there. I feel like it's kind of hard to get my thumb on sometimes. I've tried it in gloves. It works. It works this way, but it definitely takes some getting used to having to kind of turn your thumb around and push it into the light. You know, if you drop it on the ground or something, it's not going to come on. So that's good. But it's kind of preference. The other thing I'm not so sure about with this light is from a tactical light perspective. Again, I'm not military. I'm not law enforcement. I've had some self-defense training and stuff like that, but I'm not a tactical expert by any means. But it seems odd to me that this has a little glowy ring around the outside. You can't see it very well in here because the light's so bright, but there's a ring around the outside of this here on the lens that glows after the light has been on. I would assume that on a tactical light, the whole purpose of turning off your light is it so that people can't see where you are. This has a little glowy ring that kind of fights that. It's not real bright. It's probably, you know, leave it up to your usage to figure out if that's okay for you. That's the only kind of odd thing that I've seen about any of these. But overall, spectacular weapon light. Great throw, great turbo, but not great the rest of it. Dedicated thrower, nice thrower with weird interface. So that's kind of my conclusions on those. Let's do some beam shots so you can see what they look like, and we'll go from there. All right, let's do some beam shots here. First, I have the Armytek Predator Pro. These are trees at 20 yards. Up here on the left, you can see it's a spot. There's a pretty good spill around it. I can see the whole trees in my regular vision. Camera doesn't show it quite as well. Going to the left, there's some trees out there at 50 yards. I can see them again very well. Nice big spot, very good spill. I can see everything around them. Really good there. And then way out at 100 yards, I can see decently at 100 yards with this light. You can't, if you can see it very well on the camera. There's the kind of the spot and spill up close. You can see it illuminates that whole driveway there. That concrete wall there is about 35 yards away. So there is that one. And we'll go to the Acebeam L17, which you've seen before. There's turbo up on the trees on the left. Very defined spot. Not a lot of spill on this one. There's the spot and spill on the driveway. There's the concrete wall at 35 yards. There's the trees at 50 yards. Alright, and then there's the trees at 100 yards. Generally you can see with this one very well in the woods that far away. It's the best probably, you know, at throwing just without anything else. Still pretty good vision at 100 yards. Alright, let's go to the Nitecore. There's turbo on the trees at 20 yards. Again, very good vision there. Cool white light. Here is the spot and spill on the driveway in front of you. Again, decent spill there. Pretty good situational awareness with this light. There's the concrete wall at 35. The trees at 50, I can see them very well. Like I could pick out a bird in those trees, no problem with this one. And then the trees at 100. Compared with the Acebeam, this is probably even better of a thrower. It's wider. I'm looking at them side by side now. Well, I guess resolution in my eyes is still a little bit better with the Acebeam, but the Acebeam doesn't have nearly the fill around it or the large spot of throw at the very end that the Nitecore does. So really good thrower, very white light. And then here is the Olight Warrior X Pro. There's the trees at 20. You can see a much warmer light. I can see the colors a lot better. There's the spot and spill on the driveway. You can see a lot with this. A lot of detail, very clear, ability to see what's around you. Great for situational awareness. There's the wall at 35. There's the trees at 50. Again, I could pick out, a sparrow in those trees at 50 yards with this light. It's a lot of highly visible light. And then there's the trees at 100. I can see almost as well in those trees with this as I can with the Acebeam. It's not quite the same throw as far as brightness on a particular spot, but it's close. And I would definitely much rather have this one, because I can see more what's going on around me. So there's the beam shots. Hope the review is helpful, and keep adventuring.